Good morning and happy 4th of July. I don't know if he put this in the script just for my Jersey people, but no indoor fireworks. But we do have an exciting session ahead as we bring to a close the 134th meeting of the Moose Fraternity and the 110th annual conference of the Women of the Moose. I am happy to announce that during the Moose Charities Workshop held Sunday, July 3rd, we received, listen to this amount, $375,995.40 during the March of Checks. On behalf of the Moose International Board of Directors, we thank you for all your fundraising efforts. I would like to thank everyone for making this an incredible Moose year and for your unfailing support of Moose Heart and Moose Haven. I now call to the podium our Credentials Chairman, Thomas Cronenberg, for the final registration report.
Thank you, Vice Chair Manopus, Chief Executive Officer Hart, representatives, brothers and sisters. This will be the final report of the 2022 Credential Committee. We, the undersigned members of the Credentials Committee, hereby certify that 3,540 representatives, past presidents, past regents, and alternates have been registered, and that the foregoing is a true and correct report of the 134th International Moose Convention. In addition, we have registered 1,090 members of the Moose for a total registration of 4,630. This report submitted by the Credentials Committee. Myself as chairman, Thomas Cronenberg, Muskego, Wisconsin, Lodge 1057. Tama Mitchell, Hillsborough, New Hampshire, Lodge 1091. Dan Froning, Mobridge, South Dakota, Lodge 1685. And Ann Bakey, River Park, Illinois, Lodge 2578.
Thank you, Brother Cronenberg. Members, you have heard the report of the Credentials Committee. I don't know where we are. We're over there? Oh. Anywhere on the floor today, you get it. I will entertain a motion from the floor. Okay, I'll make you run. And I told you I wouldn't. I apologize.
I make a motion. Jennifer Kerchuk, Woodbury Lodge, 2585, past Regent.
I have a motion. I need a second, please.
There we go. Here.
Right next to you.
Right next. Outstanding. Thank you, brother.
Michael Stadnick, Jr., Santa Maria Lodge 719, a valued veteran and proud of my country and proud of my brothers and sisters joining with me today to celebrate the birth of our country. Thank you, and thank you, God.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor. All in favor, please vote by the sign of the order. Anyone opposed? So carried. Now let's begin the 2022 installation ceremony of the Moose, the Women of the Moose, and the Moose Legion. This morning, we will install into office the dedicated men and women of the Moose Fraternity who have been selected either by election, appointment, or by fraternal law to serve the Moose during the 2022-2023 year. The installation team will consist of Grand Chancellor Barb McPherson, Chief Executive Officer Scott D. Hart, Junior past Chairman of the Board, Bruce J. Berger, and past Grand Regent Mary Froning. Grand Chancellor Barb McPherson, please begin our installation ceremony.
Good morning. We know many of you would like to take pictures during this installation ceremony, and we highly encourage you to do so, providing it does not disrupt the ceremony. The members of the Women of the Moose Higher Degrees Board are selected from chapter members who have earned the College of Regents degree. Their term of office is for a period of 2 years, and each year, 3 new members are appointed. The president of the Women of the Moose Higher Degrees Board is appointed from the ranks of past members of the Academy of Friendship, Star Recorder, and College of Regents boards. It is the duty of the president to conduct the annual session for the conferral of all degrees of the Women of the Moose, as well as preside over each respective annual meeting, held in conjunction with the International Conference. Past international board members who will remain on the Women of the Moose International Higher Degrees Board, please escort the chapter members who have accepted appointments to the center of the platform. Accepting appointments to the Women of the Moose International Higher Degrees Board are Patty Kavanaugh, East Mesa, Arizona, Lodge 2082. Unable to be with us, Sheila Hutchinson, Knoxville, Tennessee, Lodge 1560. Rhonda Scarborough, Meridian, Mississippi, Lodge 1628. And as president of the Women of the Moose International Higher Degrees Board from Laramie, Wyoming, Chapter 423, Lodge 390, Barbara Peer. The Grand Council of the Women of the Moose is the policy-making board in all matters pertaining to the Women of the Moose, subject to the approval of the Moose International Incorporated Board of Directors. Each year, 4 chapter members are appointed to serve on the Grand Council for a 2-year term of office. It is my pleasure to announce the names of the incoming Grand Council members. From Pullman, Washington, Chapter 2350, Lodge 943, Heather Morgan. From Copperas Cove, Texas, Chapter 2442, Lodge 2029, Sherry Roach. From Dunellen, Florida, Chapter 1662, Lodge 2308, Vera Smallridge. And from Kirksville, Missouri, Chapter 824, Lodge 1751, Marcia Stewart. Incoming, oops. Incoming board members, please turn and face the podium. Incoming board members and Grand Council, please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I solemnly pledge that I will faithfully perform the duties of the office to which I have been appointed. I promise that I will comply with the rules and regulations of the Women of the Moose and to be ready to aid other members when called upon. I will encourage our members to increase the membership of our chapters through membership building and retention. Oh, I further promise to serve the women of the Moose and will uphold our program and all of its changes to the best of my ability. So help me God. Thank you. You may lower your hand. Please turn to face the audience. New board members and Grand Council members, please take your assigned seats.
Hey, our incredible field staff have done an amazing job of serving you this convention as your assistant outer guards, assistant inner guards, and assistant supreme sergeant at arms. How about a round of applause for our field staff? Now for those elected, appointed, or named at this 134th International Moose Convention. As I call your name, you will take your place on the stage as directed by past Supreme Governor Joseph Surwa. To the Supreme Forum, for a one-year term as Chief Justice, Joseph C. Zollinger, Surfside Beach, South Carolina, Lodge 2351. For a 7-year term, Tony Lohman, Meridian, Mississippi, Lodge 1628. To the Judiciary Committee for a 2-year term, Patty Haas, Cloquet, Minnesota, Lodge 1274. To the Moose Legion Council for a 1-year term as President, Daniel Gooch, Woodbury, New Jersey, Lodge 2585. For a 1-year term as Vice President, Charles L. Barber, Sunnyvale, California, Lodge 2049. For a 1-year term as Junior Past President, Dan O'Neill, Orlando, Florida, Lodge 766. For a 2-year term as Moose Legion Councilman, Robert H. Shaw, Greensboro, North Carolina, Lodge 685. Brian Weaver, East Sussex, Delaware, Lodge 2542. To the Pilgrim Council for a 1-year term as Pilgrim President, Rodney A. Hammond, Kissimmee, Florida, Lodge 2056. For a 5-year term as Pilgrim Councilman, Harry L. Johnston, Greeley, Evans, Colorado, Lodge 909. To the Heart of the Community Committee for a 2-year term, Bridget Robinson, Garden Grove, California, Lodge 620. To the Activities Committee for a 1-year term as Chairman, Stephanie Annenson, Green Bay, Wisconsin, Lodge 801. For a 2-year term, Marcia Warrington, Sylvania, Ohio, Lodge 1579. Craig Halley, Rutland, Vermont, Lodge 1122. Dina Monday, Hayward, Castro Valley, California, Lodge 1491. To the Communications Committee for a 2-year term as Chairwoman, Joan D. Fedora, Mandarin, Florida, Lodge 42. For a 2-year term, Gayla McLaughlin, Aransas Pass, Texas, Lodge 2063. To the Loss Prevention Committee for a 2-year term as Chairman, Fred R. Scott Jr., West Boca Raton, Florida, Lodge 204. For a 2-year term, Kelvin Parker, Lindsay, Ontario, Lodge 659. To the Membership Committee for a 2-year term as Chairwoman, Sean Esposito, Lauderdale Lakes, Florida, Lodge 2267. For a 2-year term, Andrew Vonville, Marietta, Ohio, Lodge 1823. Jill Durr, Greeley, Evans, Colorado, Lodge 909. Dan Companion, St. Albans, Vermont, Lodge 1090. Kathy Rossi, Warrenton, Virginia, Lodge 1695. Walter E. Fives, Conrad, California, Lodge 567. To the Mooseheart Board of Directors, already present, Harry L. Johnston, Chairman, Greeley, Evans, Colorado, Lodge 909. Vicki Carmack, Glendale, Arizona, Lodge 2243. Brian Chu, Lexington, Ohio, Lodge 2511. Rebecca Hoffarth, Kennewick, Washington, Lodge 482. Bill Rose, Lodi, New Jersey, Lodge 1971. Nancy Statler, Newport, North Carolina, Lodge 2194. Daniel Humphreys, Irwin, Tennessee, Lodge 939. To the Moose Haven Board of Directors, already on stage, Rodney A. Hammond, Chairman, Kissimmee, Florida, Lodge 2056. Jim Monroe, Salina, Ohio, Lodge 1473. Bobby Baker, West Volusia, Florida, Lodge 2583. Alan Marks, Verde Valley, Arizona, Lodge 1449. Cynthia Rozlowski, Red Rock, Nevada, Lodge 252. Christine Brooks, Horseheads, New York, Lodge 1476. Terry Treadwell, Woodbridge, Virginia, Lodge 583. To the Moose Charities Board of Directors, Terry L. Walls, Chairman, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Lodge 862. Tony Hodenshield, Kenton, Ohio, Lodge 428. Karen Ingram, Portland, Oregon, Lodge 291. William Cutter, Thompsonville, Connecticut, Lodge 1525. Leone Leah Richardson, Muscuda, Illinois, Lodge 815. Donald Reidenauer, Salem, Virginia, Lodge 2573. And Joy Bliss, Albert Lee, Minnesota, Lodge 1703. Officers of Moose International, Inc. for the Moose International Board of Director for a 4-year term. Bruce Schneider, Woodward, Oklahoma, Lodge 452. Suzanne Dinning, Nisqually Valley, Washington, Lodge 1905. For Moose International Board Director, Chaplain for a 1-year term, Robert K. Funky, St. Clair Shores, Michigan, Lodge 1837. For Vice Chairman of the Moose International Board of Directors for a 1-year term, John R. Sipes, Galion, Ohio, Lodge 303. For Chairman of the Moose International Board of Directors for a 1-year term, Bruce T. Massapus, Lodi, New Jersey, Lodge 1971. Chief Financial Officer Joseph R. Meck, Downers Grove, Illinois, Lodge 1535. Chief Compliance Officer Rick King, Duncan, Oklahoma, Lodge 2202. Director of Membership Michael A. Rios Jr., Suffolk, Virginia, Lodge 141. Moose International Sergeant at Arms Jamie Ellis, Indiana, Pennsylvania, Lodge 174. Moose International Inner Guard Ron Morgan, Pullman, Washington, Lodge 943. And Moose International Outer Guard Robert Bracefield, Woodbury, New Jersey, Lodge 2585. And myself, the other guy. Junior past chairman of the board, Bruce Berger, you may now proceed to install these officers and committee men and women for the ensuing year.
Thank you, Captain. Good morning, Moose. If you will all raise your right hand, repeat after me, using your name where I use mine. I, Bruce Berger, do solemnly promise that I will diligently and faithfully perform the duties of the position to which I have been elected or appointed. I hereby rededicate myself to the high ideals on which this noble fraternity was established. Thank you. You may lower your hands and return to your places in this room. Congratulations. It's all good.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for showing up. Greatly appreciate it. Absolutely. Where are you going? Yes. Well, yeah.
At this time, we're going to take care of a little business that's left over from our last international convention in Cincinnati, Ohio. Past Grand Regent Mary Froning, would you please escort Grand Regent Gloria Petrie to the platform? Gloria, on behalf of the co-workers everywhere, I extend deep appreciation for the service that you have rendered to the Women of the Moose as Grand Regent. The Women of the Moose had a very successful year under your leadership, and I know that you will continue to promote the international program of the Women of the Moose as a past Grand Regent and as a trusted advisor. Moving forward, you will serve the Women of the Moose as past Grand Regent and accordingly will accept the pledge of support taken by every Grand Regent upon leaving office. Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I sincerely renew my pledge
I sincerely renew my pledge
to the Women of the Moose
to the Women of the Moose
that I will continue
that I will continue
to diligently serve our fraternity
to diligently serve our fraternity
and encourage chapters
and encourage chapters
to persist in their dedication
to persist in their dedication
to Moose Heart,
to Moose Heart,
Moose Haven,
Moose Haven,
and to our programs of community service.
and to our program of community service.
I further pledge
I further pledge
that I will always
that I will always
uphold the high ideals
uphold the high ideals
and principles
and principles
of the Women of the Moose.
of the Women of the Moose.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you. You may lower your hand. Past Grand Regent Mary, please remove Gloria's stole and invest her with the long white stole, the regalia of a past Grand Regent. You're gonna lay it on this side and then walk it around. Gloria, as a token of our love and appreciation of your year of dedication to the Women of the Moose as Grand Regent. I'm pleased to present you with the past Grand Regent's Medallion as a symbol of your office during the 2020-2021 chapter year. Past Grand Regent Mary, would you please escort Gloria to her chair? Past Grand Regent Mary Froning, would you please escort Grand Regent Cletus McManama to the center of the platform? Cletus, on behalf of the Women of the Moose everywhere, I extend deep appreciation for the service that you have rendered to the Women of the Moose as Grand Regent this past year. The Women of the Moose has had a most successful year under your leadership, and I know that you will continue to promote the international program of the Women of the Moose as a past Grand Regent and trusted advisor. Next year, you will serve the Women of the Moose as Junior Past Grand Regent, and accordingly will accept the pledge of support taken by every Grand Regent upon leaving office. Cletus, will you please raise your right hand and repeat after me? I sincerely renew my pledge.
I sincerely renew my pledge.
To the Women of the Moose.
To the Women of the Moose.
That I will continue.
That I will continue.
To diligently serve our fraternity.
To diligently
serve
our fraternity.
And encourage chapters.
And encourage chapters.
To persist in their dedication.
To persist in their dedication.
To Moose Heart.
To Moose Heart.
Moose Haven.
Moose Haven.
And to our programs of community service.
And all our programs of community service.
I further pledge.
I further pledge.
That I will always.
That I will always.
Uphold the high ideals.
Uphold the high ideals.
And principles of the Women of the Moose.
And principles of the Women of the Moose.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you. You may lower your hand. Past Grand Regent Mary, will you please remove Cletus's stole and invest her with the long white stole, the regalia of a past Grand Regent. Cletus, as a token of our love and appreciation for your year of dedication to the Women of the Moose as Grand Regent, I am pleased to present you with your past Grand Regent's Medallion as a symbol of your term of office for the 2021-2022 chapter year. Past Grand Regent Mary, will you please escort our newly installed Junior Past Grand Regent Cletus McManama to her chair. Whew. The Grand Regent is the presiding officer for the meetings of the Grand Council and Higher Degrees Board, the annual and the International Conference of the Women of the Moose. It is a pleasure to announce that the chapter member who is receiving this honor is from St. Clair Shores, Michigan, Chapter 69. The incoming Grand Regent is Catherine Funke. Oh.
Yeah.
Incoming Grand Regent Kathy Funke.
Yeah.
Will you please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I solemnly renew my pledge
I solemnly renew my pledge
to perform faithfully and willingly
to perform faithfully and willingly
the duties of the office of Grand Regent.
the duties of the office of Grand Regent.
I will strive earnestly
I will strive earnestly
to be worthy of your confidence,
to be worthy of your confidence,
which has been entrusted to me
which has been entrusted to me,
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
I will lead the members and chapters
I will lead the members and chapters
to greater heights
to greater heights
in our fraternal program,
in our fraternal program,
and will ever strive to increase the membership
and will ever strive to increase the membership
of the Women of the Moose
of the Women of the Moose
through membership building and retention.
through membership building and retention.
I pledge to serve the Women of the Moose
I pledge to serve the Women of the Moose
and will uphold our program
and will uphold our program
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you. You may lower your hand. The regalia of the Grand Regent is the white cowl lined in purple and edged in red, which are the official colors of the Women of the Moose. The tassel is white. Past Grand Regent Mary Froning, will you please invest Grand Regent Kathy with the regalia of the Grand Regent? It is with great pride that I present to you the Grand Regent of the Women of the Moose for the 2022-2023 term of office, Kathy Funke. Past Grand Regent Mary Froning, please escort her to the lectern and present her with the symbol of her office, the gavel.
Grand Regent Kathy, I present you with the gavel of your authority. Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you. Well, good morning. Once upon a time, a letter arrived in the mail and everything changed. And Wendy, it arrived in the mail after I was gone for 3 weeks. After recovering from the shock of realizing I had been chosen to serve as the Grand Regent for this year, a thought popped into my head about the opportunities that life presents to us. I live in northern Michigan, where we treasure the changing seasons and the great outdoors. What came to mind was a poem by Robert Frost titled "The Road Not Taken." The poem describes the uncertainty of the narrator who reaches a point on his walk in the woods where two roads diverged. He was sorry he could not travel both, and although they seemed to be equally appealing, the traveler took the other road and remarked, "Oh, I kept the first for another day, yet knowing I doubted if I should ever come back to the other road." The narrator feels the road he chose was better for him, as it was grassy and wanted wear. This was his road less traveled. Every day we come upon crossroads where we make real-life choices that impact our lives and the lives of others. Some of the choices are easier than others. Remember when your mother told you not to run with scissors? That's easy enough to decide, but what about the time you had to choose a life partner or a career? Not quite so straightforward. There will always be times when we may need to make tough, life-changing decisions. The leaders of our fraternity did just that in 2020 when they put one moose up for a vote. It all began in 2017 when the leaders of our fraternity realized we had reached a crossroads in the future of Mooseheart and Moose Haven. In order to determine which road should be taken, the Stand as One committee was formed. After countless meetings and discussions, the committee chose a road less taken and proposed a single membership for our fraternity. Instead of waiting for a federal or state court to force a merger, our membership would decide if we traveled the road less taken. So we did just that. And on May 1st, 2021, we became a united fraternity of men and women. The road less traveled is not a fairy tale of happily ever after. Each choice we make has pros and cons. The road we left might not have offered the best way for us to move forward. The new road can offer a new perspective for our fraternity. We may also carry a lot of excess baggage that we might need to leave on the side of the road. Our members are now at a crossroads. Which road will they take? Follow the current program or drop out and go on a different road? Each is a personal choice, and the only thing we can do wrong is do nothing at all. Taking the less traveled road may be bumpy, filled with brambles. All that can slow us down. There will be as many twists and turns as there are smooth stretches of this road. But that's life, isn't it? One of the bumps we've encountered has to do with our chapters. First and foremost, I am a chapter advocate. An advocate is defined as someone who defends or maintains a cause. Many of us are still living with the fear, anxiety, loneliness, and anger from being isolated from each other during the past 2 years. Add the implementation of One Moose to that, and many of those feelings have been heightened. While the implementation of One Moose has impacted all of us, our chapters seem to be particularly hard hit. I have found myself advocating for their very existence. It was anticipated that we would lose chapters for a variety of reasons, but I was not prepared for the degree of negative comments I was hearing. I needed a way to connect with the chapters in Michigan and emphasize how important they are to our fraternity. So at our mid-year conference, I told them a story about The Invisible String by Patricia Karst. The story begins when the twins, Jeremy and Liza, are awakened by a storm, and they ran to their mother for comfort. No matter how much she reassured them that everything was going to be fine, they did not want to go back to their beds because they knew they would be separated from her. Mom, they said. Oh, the mom said, you know, we're always together no matter what. To which Liza said, but how can we be together when you're out here and we're in bed? So the mom held up her hands and said, this is how. Then she told them a story she had heard from her mother about the invisible string. When Mom finished her story, Jeremy said, "I still don't see a string." You don't need to see the invisible string. People who love each other are always connected by a very special string made of love. Even though you can't see it with your eyes, you can feel it with your heart and know that you are always connected to everyone you love. Comforted, the twins went back to bed and dreamed about all the invisible strings that connect them to their family and friends until everyone in the world was connected. And from deep inside, they could clearly see no one is ever alone. Our chapters are the moms of this fraternity. They're the keepers of the invisible fraternal string that keeps us connected to Mooseheart and Moose Haven. So how do we deal with the negative atmosphere surrounding our chapters? What do you do with a problem? Kobe Yamada, the author of a book by that name, has some insights. I don't know how it happened, but one day I had a problem. I didn't want it. I didn't ask for it. I really didn't like having a problem, but it was there. I wanted it to go away. I shooed it. I scowled at it. I tried ignoring it, but nothing worked. I worried about my problem, and the more I worried, the more I avoided my problem. And then I saw it everywhere. I thought about it all the time. I didn't feel good at all. I realized I had to face it. So even though I didn't want to, even though I was really afraid, I got ready and tackled my problem. When I got face to face, I discovered something. My problem wasn't what I thought it was. I discovered it had something beautiful inside. My problem held a golden opportunity. It was an opportunity for me to learn and grow, to be brave, to do something. So now I see problems differently. I'm not afraid of them anymore. You just have to look for the good inside the problem. The road we have taken may have problems associated with it, but it also has opportunities for something really good to happen if we come face to face with them. The problems our chapters are facing have something beautiful inside of them. It's that invisible string of love that connects us to Mooseheart, Moose Haven, and to each other. We are going to solve this as we have always done, as a fraternity of men and women dedicated to our Twin Cities and communities. The road not taken advocates for perseverance, and solving even the smallest problems will have some of the biggest impacts. There is no right or wrong road to take. It all comes down to a personal choice. In the epilogue of The Invisible String, the author comments, "We live in tumultuous times, to say the least. But what affects one of us affects the whole of us. Where all our invisible strings intersect, we find ourselves in the real World Wide Web that collectively forms the nest that holds us close." Great comments for the uncertain times we live in, right? Patrice Karst wrote this book in 1996, 5 years before 9/11 and 25 years before the COVID pandemic. It looks like we need that invisible string more than ever. Finally, when I look back at the roads I've traveled since 1987 to arrive at this podium, I discovered I was never alone. I was always connected to members of our fraternity with invisible strings of love. The beauty of being a Moose member is that we are only alone if we choose to be. There's always someone from a chapter, from my chapter, the Michigan Moose Association, our Grand Chancellor and her staff, who reached out to give me advice, support, and encouragement. Had it not been for their care and concern, their invisible strings, I would have been one of those members who came in the front door and left out the back. Like the narrator in the poem, I took the one less traveled, and that has made all the difference. Later in his life, Robert Frost made this comment: "In 3 words, I can sum up everything I have learned about life. It goes on, and so will we." I'm ready to go. Are you? For 32 years, Bob and I have walked side by side on the road we chose to travel, and we will continue to do that. So as Calvin and Hobbes commented in their final comic, it's a magical world, old buddy. So what do you think, Bob? Let's go exploring. Thank you.
You didn't want to hold these while you were talking.
I couldn't have chewed gum and done it.
Good job.
Thank you.
You can join your husband.
Oh, good.
Thank you, Kathy. We look forward to hearing all about your adventures in the year ahead as Grand Regent. Congratulations. Now, elected to the office of Chairman of the Board of Directors for the term 2022-2023 is Bruce T. Massapust of Lodi, New Jersey, Lodge 1971. Bruce. Brother Chairman Massapust, present yourself at the lectern in order that we may officially install you.
Hello! My good friend, Brother Mass, you will place your left hand over your heart and raise your right hand. State your name where I state mine, and then remain silent and attend the obligation which you will assume in silence. I, Bruce J. Berger,
I, Bruce Maspus,
in the presence of the Almighty God and those here assembled, in the presence,
remain
that
silent.
do most solemnly and sincerely reiterate and reaffirm all obligations heretofore taken by me in any and all units of the Moose Fraternity. I will support the Constitution and general laws of this fraternity and the mandates and order of those in authority. I will, to the best of my ability, lead this fraternity to greater heights and continually strive to increase the membership of the Moose. You will now repeat after me, to all of which I pledge myself
my
most sacred honor.
honor.
Brother Scott D. Hart, I present to you the chairman of the Moose International Board of Directors, Bruce T. Massapus.
You tried to trick me, yeah? You tried to trick me.
I thought you would say it. I was waiting for it.
Thank you, Brother Installing Officer Berger. Members of the Moose, it is indeed an honor and a pleasure to present to you a past governor of Lodi, New Jersey, Lodge 1971, elected to the office by delegates attending the 134th meeting of the Moose and duly installed into office moments ago, the brother who will serve this fraternity in the highest elected office of our fraternal year, 2022-2023, and making us an offer we can't refuse, is our guy, International Board of Director Chairman Bruce T. Massapus. We're good, brother.
Before I get started with the speech, I got to say two things. Number one, no jokes this time. And number two, to everybody in the Jersey delegation, you lost a bet because I cried this morning at the secretary's meeting at 7:30 in the morning. They were taking a bet on when I would cry during this speech. Today is a bit overwhelming for me. Who would have thought that when I first joined the Moose in 1984, that I would become the chairman of the board of directors? I find it hard to believe that someone who only became a Moose member under the orders of my parents, William and Josephine Massapus, is up here addressing you, the great brothers and sisters of this Moose fraternity. I grew up with the lodge and chapter books on our kitchen table, and a lodge where the men and women worked and continue to work together in community service. So one Moose, stronger together to make it happen because we care, is nothing new to me. So I joined the people that just walked me into this meeting of the convention, men who have led this fraternity and its brothers and sisters in the past. I thank the past Supreme Governors, Chairman of the Board of Directors I referenced for their leadership, guidance, continued teaching, and understanding that has charted the path we take today. I would be remiss if I did not mention this gentleman. His urging and support reinvigorated the members of Lodi, New Jersey Lodge 1971 back in the late 80s, so we could take it from being on the verge of closing with only 33 members to where it is today. I would like to acknowledge past Director General and past Supreme Governor from New Jersey, who was one of the gentlemen walking me in, Frank Sarnecki. I have represented the citizens of Lodi as mayor, the Lodge Brothers of Lodi 1971 as governor, the Lodges of New Jersey's district, we call it dysfunctional District 7, as president, the Moose Legionnaires of North Jersey Moose Legion number 2 as president, and the Lodges in New Jersey as president and deputy supreme governor. I accept this high honor and responsibility on behalf of the leaders and former leaders of this fraternity, and on behalf of my brothers and sisters of the Lodi Moose Lodge number 1971, and on behalf of my delegation from the New Jersey Moose Association. I also accept this high honor in memory of the following people. Here it comes. Lodi Lodge Charter Member, Officer, past Governor, Fellow, and longtime Secretary, as it was called back then, William Massapus Sr., who would have been 100 years old. Lodi Chapter Charter Member, First Senior Regent, Star Recorder, and First Collegian, Josephine Massapus, and my brother, a Pilgrim of the Order, Coach Billy Massapus. As you have finally figured out, my immediate family is looking down on us from heaven this day. I would like to thank my cousins who are here with me today. Yes, they are all members of Lodi Moose 1971. My cousin Ellen and her husband Danny, with me and Julie on their side, and my cousin Laura, her husband Harry, and my nemesis fellow Gemini, Gianna. Although I have no immediate family left, as we know by now, there is a saying in New Jersey we use, I got a guy. Well, in this fraternity, I am lucky enough to have you, my Moose family. So I have many guys and gals who I know have my back. I thank International Moose Legion President Dan Gooch for making my nomination, and my lifelong friend, neighbor, and classmate, Dale Walters, for seconding my nomination. They both have gotten used to it by now, having done it every time for every office I have served in. Kennedy said, "There are risks and costs to a program of action, but they are far less than the long-range cost of comfortable inaction." Well, that quote describes your board of directors to a T. Your board of directors risks the actions necessary to improve our fraternity rather than taking comfortable inaction. I thank my fellow members of the board of directors. I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge and thank Paul and Bonnie Curtis for all of their arduous work, dedication, and leadership in Paul's past year as chairman of the board and throughout his Moose career. God has called Paul to heaven to take on another mission, but we know he is with us always in our thoughts and hearts. As I said before, I thank again my fellow members of the board of directors for their support. Together, we have worked and will continue to work as hard as we can to ensure the future of our children at Mooseheart, our seniors at Moose Haven, and all in this family we call the Moose. I need your help here. Why? Friends are the family we choose for each other. We in this room have chosen to be Moose family. Why? My goals for this year are simple. Attend as many of the functions that I am invited to as is humanly possible, except when I have dishpan hands at my lodge because of kitchen duty. As you all know by now, my title at the lodge is Supreme Dishwasher. The other is not to let the responsibilities of chairman of the board prevent me from accomplishing my own community service obligations and my Moose International and Lodi Moose community service obligations. This week, as we, the Moose family, gather to break bread and celebrate life, I thank you, the brothers and sisters of the Moose fraternity, for your dedication to the Moose fraternity and commitment supporting our children at Mooseheart and our seniors at Moose Haven. Why? It has been my honor and privilege to be surrounded by so many great Moose fraternalists and experience your warm hospitality. In truth, you have made this chubby second-generation Moose brat from New Jersey feel like your own family. Why? I ask all the brothers and sisters of the Moose fraternity to take all the information and reports covered this week back to your lodges and chapters, dig in, and get her done by building upon our foundation and raising the roof as Moose members on a mission to create our future, united for our children at Mooseheart and seniors at Moose Haven by saluting our community heroes as one Moose, stronger together to make it happen. Why? In truth, a family is what you make of it. It is made strong not by the number of heads counted at the dinner table, but by the rituals you help family members create, by the memories you share, by the commitment of time, caring, and love you share with one another. Why? You, the Moose fraternity, have helped create the commitments, rituals, and memories for over 12,000 children at Mooseheart since it was founded, and thousands of seniors at Moose Haven. Why? But my brothers and sisters, our work is not done. I ask you, paraphrasing a famous author, to look up and not down, to look forward and not back, to look out and not in, and to lend a helping hand. Why? Character is what God and the angels know of us. Reputation is what men and women think of us. That's a quote from Horace Mann. I thank God, my mother, and brother for building my character. I thank my cousins and friends for your confidence in me. And I pledge to represent you, the brothers and sisters of the Moose, with the utmost respect and dignity, so as not to tarnish the reputation of this family we call the Moose. Thank you, and God bless the brothers and sisters of the Moose. God bless Mooseheart and Moose Haven, and God bless the United States of America on 4th of July. Thank you very much.
Chairman Massapus, on behalf of a grateful fraternity, we want to honor you with handing you your gavel to wield over this fraternity and fraternal meetings, including the Moose International Board of Directors, and next year in Reno, you'll be able to do this all over again. We also have, I know that you're going to be making a lot of lodge visits to pass along laughter, joy, compassion, understanding, encouragement to the members and guests in those lodges. And as a token of your appreciation, we would love for you to be able to give this Make It Happen coin with your portrait on it, signifying you as chairman for the 2022-2023 year. So we've got cases of those for you.
They had to use a wide-angle lens for the picture, though.
And then we have a special presentation to you. It is a picture of yourself and Coach Billy Massapus, both as pilgrims, to recognize you. Your father, your mother, and your brother, Bruce, are looking down so proud of you and all that you've accomplished and all that you're going to do this year. You know they love you. Your family back here loves you. Your family out here loves you. And there ain't nothing anybody can do about that because we love one another. We're a part of the Moose family. You've got our support. We're looking forward to your year as chairman. May God bless your journey and lead us to greater heights.
Thank you.
All right, so where do we go from here? As a fraternity, I believe we are going in the right direction. We have the opportunity every day to grow our membership base, set our lodges up to be leaders in our communities, and do great things for our children at Mooseheart and our seniors at Moose Haven. We exist because of people, not things. The Moose offers friendships that last, fulfillment in caring for the needs of others over your own, and fun activities for all ages. Every one of us is an ambassador of the Moose. We have an amazing story to tell, and you and your lodge are the main characters. Tell your community what you're doing to make a difference. Take a chance and create excitement in your lodge. Create an environment where all members feel welcomed, and create events that make members of your community say, I want to be a part of that. Become the destination for your community. Let's take the momentum from this week in Orlando in the first 2 months of the year and drive that right into our next stop of our international convention, Reno, Nevada, the biggest little city in the world. We'll be at the Grand Sierra Resort from June 20th through the 23rd, 2023, with overflow at the Nugget Casino Resort. This will be the first time the Moose has held a convention in Reno, and you can expect the red carpet to be rolled out for you and breathtaking scenery at every turn. Let's take a look at 2 short videos to give our eyes a sample of what awaits. Look for convention and hotel registration to open mid-December, and we hope to see you out west in 2023. As I prepare to close out my comments for this international convention, we have the opportunity to bestow an honor on a man who deserved this and so much more. Paul W. Curtis was to be the first chairman of the Moose International Board of Directors to serve with that title for a full term. And as we say our goodbyes today, he would have left as an honored past chairman of the board. On May 28th, during the Celebration of Life service at the East Portland, Oregon Lodge number 1891, his wife Bonnie accepted that plaque that related the appreciation of a grateful fraternity for Paul's service and his anticipated elevation to past chairman. During the Mooseheart High School commencement exercises on June 4th, Paul's youngest son, Michael, delivered his father's address to the class of 2022. He then received the first ever past chairman's ring that would have been presented to Paul on this stage this morning. To cement the plaque, the ring, the title, and our love for Paul Curtis into our fraternity's hearts for all times, it is my humble privilege to share the following resolution. Whereas the procedure for the delegates assembled in this convention to confer honors upon distinguished and outstanding members of our fraternity is provided in the Constitution and general laws of the order. And whereas Brother Paul W. Curtis joined Camas Washougal Washington Lodge number 1042 in 1985 and served the Moose fraternity well, having lit the path of fraternalism for many brothers and sisters to follow. Whereas he was a devoted husband to Bonnie for 42 years, a loving father to 4 children, and grandfather to 8 grandchildren. Whereas his wisdom and guidance was a blessing to lodges, chapters, Moose legions, districts, associations, committees, boards, and finally the Moose International Board of Directors. Whereas Chairman Curtis championed equality in the Moose fraternity and witnessed one Moose become a reality on May 1st, 2021. And whereas the one true and living God in his infinite wisdom called Chairman Paul W. Curtis from our midst on April 13th, 2022. Therefore, be it resolved, those here assembled at this 134th International Moose Convention and Annual Meeting of the Moose posthumously confer the honor of past chairman upon Brother Paul W. Curtis, always remembering his love for the children at Mooseheart and our seniors at Moose Haven, and his commitment to be a loyal fraternalist. Brother Vice Chairman and incoming chairman and newly elected chairman, I move for the adoption of this resolution.
You have heard the motion for this resolution. Do I have a second?
Ron Morgan, Pullman, Washington Lodge 943, second.
It's only fitting that it comes from Paul's state. Any questions on the motion? Please vote by the usual sign of the order. Anyone opposed? Obviously not. All rise in favor, and let's do it by acclamation and give Paul a standing ovation. The motion carries. Thank you for approving this resolution and for all your thoughts and prayers for the Curtis family during this difficult time. Now, as we close, a final reminder, if you are attending the League of Guardians event tonight, no, it's not going to be in Burger King drive-thru like I said yesterday. It will be held in the Sebastian Ballroom starting at 5 p.m. A cash bar will be available prior to and during the dinner. I now call upon Director Chaplain John Sipes to deliver the closing prayer.
Let us fold our arms and bow our heads. Our gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for the knowledge we have obtained during the course of this 134th International Convention. We ask that you bless those who have been chosen to lead or continue to lead our fraternity. We ask that you bless their continued wisdom and guidance. We ask, dear Lord, that you be with each of us as we travel our separate ways. Let us be renewed with fraternalism so we will feel a new commitment to our cause. We also thank you for the friendships we have made or renewed during this convention. Please watch over those who serve and protect our country so we may enjoy all the freedoms and privileges of everyday life. We ask that you give us the strength and wisdom to make it happen for those dependent on our care, the aged at Moose Haven and the young at Moose Heart. In your name we pray. Amen.
One public service announcement I was just told, they did really say that it was in Burger King drive-thru. No, it's in Gatlin C, the League of Guardians. Okay, I now declare the 134th meeting of the Moose Fraternity and the 110th Annual Conference of the Women of the Moose officially adjourned.